What if I told you that the reason you can't focus, the reason you keep delaying your goals, and the reason hard work feels painful is not because you are lazy. It is because your brain has been trained. Trained to choose easy pleasure over meaningful progress. Trained to chase quick dopamine hits instead of long-term satisfaction. Trained so deeply that now distractions feel natural, while discipline feels uncomfortable. But here is the truth most people never hear. Your dopamine system is not fixed. It is programmable. If your mind learned to crave scrolling, junk content, and instant gratification, it can also learn to crave focus, discipline, and hard work. That means the same brain that avoids effort today can become the brain that seeks growth tomorrow. Right now, millions of people are stuck in the same cycle every day. They wake up, check their phone, scroll for a quick dopamine hit, lose energy, avoid important work, feel guilty, then escape back into distraction. They call it laziness, but it is not laziness. It is conditioning. Modern life floods the brain with high stimulation rewards, short videos, social media, endless notifications, entertainment on demand. All of it gives instant pleasure with zero effort. Over time, your brain adapts to that pattern. And dopamine is not just a pleasure chemical. It is a motivation chemical. It teaches your brain what is worth repeating. When you constantly reward yourself with easy stimulation, your mind starts believing that comfort is valuable and effort is pointless. That is why studying feels heavy. That is why working on goals feels delayed. That is why discipline feels like a battle. But hidden inside this problem is powerful hope. If dopamine can be trained toward distraction, it can also be trained toward discipline. If your brain can learn bad habits, it can learn stronger ones. You are not broken. You are simply conditioned. And conditioning can be changed. The moment you start retraining your reward system, you begin reclaiming your focus, your energy, and your future. Part 1. Understanding dopamine reset. Dopamine is not your enemy. It is one of the most powerful systems inside your brain, designed to guide motivation, learning, and repeated behavior. Many people think dopamine only creates pleasure, but that is not the full story. Dopamine is more like a signal that tells your brain, this mattered. Do it again. Every time you do something, your brain quietly evaluates the experience. Was it rewarding? Was it exciting? Was it worth repeating? If the answer is yes, dopamine is released, and the brain begins wiring that behavior into habit. This is how human beings learn patterns, build routines, and repeat actions automatically. The problem is not dopamine itself. The problem is what modern life has attached dopamine to. Today, your reward system is constantly being hijacked by easy stimulation. Instead of earning satisfaction through effort, many people receive endless small rewards through effortless habits. Scrolling instead of thinking. Watching instead of doing. Consuming instead of creating. Avoiding difficult work instead of building strength through challenge. Each quick reward teaches the brain that easy pleasure is valuable, while discomfort should be avoided. Over time, this changes how motivation feels. The brain naturally starts choosing the easiest path available. Why struggle through hard work when instant entertainment is always one tap away? Why stay focused on a long-term goal when distraction gives immediate relief? Slowly, your tolerance for effort begins to drop. Tasks that once felt manageable now feel exhausting. Simple responsibilities feel heavy. Goals feel distant. Hard work feels painful. Many people assume this means they are lazy, weak, or lacking discipline. But that is not the truth. Hard work often feels impossible not because you are weak, but because your brain has become overstimulated. It has adapted to constant rewards without effort, and now normal life feels slower by comparison. Think of it like someone who eats sugar all day. After enough sweetness, natural food can taste bland. The food did not lose its value, the senses became distorted. The same thing happens with your mind. If your brain consumes non-stop high dopamine stimulation, real progress can feel boring, quiet, and slow. That is why the real problem is not capability. You are still capable of focus, discipline, and growth. The real issue is calibration. Your reward system has been tuned toward easy pleasure instead of meaningful progress. The good news is that calibration can be changed. What has been trained can be retrained. When you reduce overstimulation and reconnect dopamine to effort, progress starts feeling rewarding again. Focus returns. Discipline becomes easier. And the same brain that once chased distraction can begin craving growth. Part 2. Why hard work feels painful now. There was a time when effort felt normal. Human beings were built to work, solve problems, move their bodies, create, and struggle toward something meaningful. Challenge was once a natural part of daily life. Progress required patience, repetition, and endurance. Because of that, the brain learned to connect effort with survival, growth, and satisfaction. But in the modern world, that connection has weakened. Today, comfort is available everywhere, and stimulation is unlimited. You can be entertained instantly, distracted endlessly, and rewarded without doing anything difficult. This has changed how many people experience hard work. The problem is not that work itself became more painful. The problem is that the brain became more sensitive to discomfort. When your mind gets used to instant pleasure, delayed rewards start feeling unbearable. Sitting down to study feels heavy. Starting a business feels overwhelming. Exercising feels exhausting before you even begin. Focusing for 30 minutes can feel harder than scrolling for 3 hours. The task is not always the issue. The conditioning is. Your brain is always comparing options. It asks, what gives me the fastest reward with the least effort? If one option offers challenge, uncertainty, and delayed results, while another offers quick pleasure in seconds, the brain often chooses the easier path. This is why people know what they should do, yet still avoid it. They are not choosing failure. They are responding to a reward system trained for comfort. That is also why guilt becomes common. You want success, but you keep choosing distraction. You know your goals matter, but you still delay them. You promise yourself discipline, then break that promise again. This creates frustration, shame, and self-doubt. But blaming yourself misses the deeper truth. You are not broken. You are reacting exactly how an overstimulated brain tends to react. Hard work feels painful now because your reward system expects immediate payoff. Real growth rarely works that way. Progress is often quiet at first. Results are delayed. Improvement can feel invisible for weeks. The brain that craves instant rewards struggles to appreciate slow progress. That tension is where most people quit. But this pain is not permanent. It is learned discomfort, not destiny. The more you train yourself to tolerate boredom, delay gratification, and stay with effort long enough to feel momentum, the more the brain changes. Tasks that once felt painful begin to feel manageable. Focus becomes less forced. Discipline feels more natural. What feels difficult today can become enjoyable tomorrow. The truth is simple. Hard work did not become your enemy. Your brain just forgot how rewarding effort can be. And the moment you teach it again, everything begins to shift. Part 3. The reprogramming principle. Here is the truth that changes everything. You do not need to destroy dopamine, suppress motivation, or become emotionless to succeed. You simply need to redirect the system that already exists inside you. Dopamine is not something to fear. It is a tool. And like any tool, its power depends on where it is aimed. Right now, many people have a reward system pointed toward comfort, distraction, and instant gratification. That is why scrolling feels exciting while meaningful work feels heavy. But the direction can be changed. You do not eliminate pleasure. You retrain pleasure. You do not remove desire. You teach desire what to chase. This is the principle of reprogramming. Instead of letting your brain automatically reward easy habits, you begin teaching it that effort, consistency, and growth are valuable. At first, this feels unnatural. The mind resists change because it prefers familiar patterns, even unhealthy ones. But repetition creates new associations. Right now, many people unconsciously live with a dangerous equation in their minds. Work equals pain. Discomfort equals danger. Distraction equals relief. Restlessness equals a need for stimulation. As long as those associations remain, discipline will always feel like punishment. You may force yourself for a few days, but eventually the brain pulls you back toward what feels rewarding. Reprogramming means reversing those equations. Work begins to mean progress. Discomfort becomes growth. Focus becomes power. Delayed gratification becomes self-respect. When these meanings change, behavior changes with them. The same task that once felt miserable starts feeling purposeful. The same routine that felt boring starts feeling empowering. This is why motivation alone often fails. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Reprogramming is neurological and lasting. It is built through repeated experiences that teach the brain a new truth. Each time you choose effort over distraction, even briefly, you send a signal. Each time you finish a difficult task, stay focused, or keep a promise to yourself, the brain records it. Those moments may feel small, but they are powerful votes for a new identity. At first, the old system fights back. You may feel urges to quit, boredom, impatience, or resistance. That does not mean it is not working. It means the rewiring process has begun. The brain is adjusting to a new reward pattern. Eventually, something remarkable happens. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once felt boring becomes satisfying. What once felt impossible becomes part of who you are. You stop relying on motivation because your reward system now supports your goals. That is the real secret. Success is not only about working harder. It is about teaching your brain to love what success requires. Part 4, Step 1. Remove easy dopamine sources. The first step in reprogramming your dopamine is not adding more discipline. It is removing what is weakening your discipline in the first place. You cannot build a focused mind while constantly feeding it endless easy rewards. If your brain is surrounded by instant stimulation all day, hard work will always feel less attractive by comparison. That is why the reset begins with subtraction, not addition. Easy dopamine sources are everywhere. Endless scrolling, random videos, constant notifications, switching between apps, background entertainment, checking messages every few minutes, chasing novelty whenever boredom appears. Dangerous in the moment. They feel harmless, normal, even relaxing. But together, they train the brain to expect stimulation without effort. They lower patience, reduce attention span, and make silence feel uncomfortable. When the mind becomes addicted to constant input, it starts resisting anything slower and deeper. Reading a book feels hard. Studying feels boring. Working on one task feels painful. Even resting without stimulation can feel strange. This is not because you lost intelligence or discipline, it is because your reward system has been flooded. So the first real move is to create space. Reduce unnecessary stimulation. Non-essential notifications. Set limits on scrolling. Remove apps that steal hours from your day. Stop consuming random content the moment boredom hits. Protect the first hour of your morning from mindless input. Give your brain moments of silence again. These simple actions may seem small, but they are powerful because they interrupt the old conditioning. At first, you may feel restless, irritated, or bored. You may keep reaching for your phone without thinking. You may feel like something is missing. That reaction is normal. It does not mean you need more stimulation. It means your brain is adjusting. What feels like discomfort is often recovery. You are lowering the noise so your natural reward system can stabilize again. Many people quit during this stage because boredom feels unpleasant. But boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the doorway to focus. When you stop flooding your brain with easy rewards, your sensitivity begins to return. Simpler activities start feeling more engaging. Concentration becomes easier. Motivation slowly rises. This step is not about living without joy or becoming extreme. It is about removing excess so your mind can function normally again. You do not need to reject technology or entertainment forever. You need to stop letting them dominate your reward system. When easy dopamine loses control over you, hard work stops competing with distraction. It finally has a chance to become rewarding again, and that is when real change begins. Part 5, Step 2. Introduce boring productivity. Once you reduce easy dopamine, the next step is where most people make a mistake. They try to become super productive overnight. They create impossible schedules, demand perfect discipline, and expect instant transformation. When they fail, they assume nothing works. But the truth is different. After overstimulation, your brain does not need intensity first. It needs stability. It needs to relearn how to engage with simple effort again. This is why boring productivity is powerful. It means choosing small, useful tasks that may not feel exciting at first, then repeating them consistently until the brain reconnects effort with reward. Instead of waiting for motivation, you begin with manageable action. 10 minutes of reading, 15 minutes of studying, 20 minutes of focused work, cleaning your room, organizing your notes, going for a walk without your phone, writing one page, completing one unfinished task. These actions seem ordinary, but they rebuild something extraordinary. Trust in yourself. Every time you complete a small task, your brain receives evidence that effort leads somewhere. Every time you finish what you started, even briefly, you weaken the identity of procrastination and strengthen the identity of discipline. At first, these tasks may feel dull compared to the stimulation you were used to. That is normal. Remember, the brain has been conditioned to chase excitement, not depth. It may reject slow progress in the beginning, but if you stay consistent, something changes. The same tasks that once felt boring begin to feel grounding. Focus starts feeling calmer. Completion starts feeling satisfying. This is how dopamine is retrained, not through dramatic moments, but through repeated signals. Each time you choose productive action over passive distraction, you tell your brain, this matters. Those messages accumulate. The reward system begins shifting toward effort. The key is to keep the bar low enough to be repeatable. If you set goals so large that you avoid them, you strengthen failure patterns. If you make goals small enough to complete daily, you build momentum. Momentum is more valuable than intensity because momentum keeps you moving long enough for identity to change. Do not underestimate simple routines. Many powerful lives are built on boring habits done consistently. Wake up on time. Make your bed. Exercise a little. Read daily. Finish one important task. Show up even when you do not feel like it. These habits look small from the outside, but inside the brain, they create a revolution. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to retrain your mind to find meaning in effort again. Once that happens, productivity stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like progress. Part 6, Step 3. The delayed reward switch. One of the biggest reasons people stay trapped in distraction is because they expect reward immediately. They want motivation before action, results before effort, confidence before struggle, and success before consistency. But real growth rarely works that way. The most valuable rewards in life usually arrive late. Strength comes after training. Skill comes after repetition. Confidence comes after keeping promises to yourself. Success comes after long periods of unseen work. This is why you must train what can be called the delayed reward switch. It is the ability to do what matters now, even when the reward is not immediate. Most people never develop this skill because modern life teaches the opposite. Click now, receive now, order now, enjoy now, scroll now, feel something now. The brain becomes impatient and starts resisting any process that requires waiting. When that happens, discipline feels unnatural. You sit down to work and your brain asks, "Where is the reward?" You study for 20 minutes and feel like nothing happened. You exercise for a week and wonder why change is slow. You work quietly while others appear to enjoy themselves, and doubt begins to grow. But this discomfort is exactly where transformation begins. The delayed reward switch is built by changing the order of your life. Instead of pleasure first and purpose later, you choose purpose first and pleasure later. Finish the task, then take the break. Complete the workout, then relax. Study the chapter, then enjoy entertainment. Handle responsibilities, then reward yourself. This teaches the brain a new pattern. Effort comes before enjoyment. At first, the mind resists this structure. It wants the shortcut. It wants comfort without earning it. But each time you stay with the process, you grow stronger. You are not just finishing tasks, you are increasing patience, self-control, and mental maturity. There is also a deeper reward hidden here. Instant pleasure fades quickly, often leaving emptiness behind. Delayed reward creates satisfaction that lasts longer because it is connected to progress. Finishing something meaningful feels different from consuming something meaningless. One drains you, the other builds you. This is why successful people often seem calmer. They are not always more talented. They have simply trained themselves to tolerate the gap between effort and reward. They understand that the seed and the harvest do not happen on the same day. If you master this switch, your life changes. You stop being controlled by urges. You stop needing constant stimulation. You become someone who can work without applause, struggle without panic, and wait without quitting. And that ability becomes a massive advantage in a world addicted to immediacy. Part 7, Step 4. Make hard work visually rewarding. Your brain responds strongly to what it can see. Progress that stays only in your mind often feels vague, slow, and easy to doubt. But progress that becomes visible feels real. This is why many people quit too early. They are improving, but because they cannot clearly see it, the brain assumes nothing is happening. When the mind believes there is no progress, motivation drops. That is why you must make hard work visually rewarding. You need proof in front of your eyes that your effort is creating movement. This can be simple. A checklist with completed tasks. A calendar with marked days. A notebook tracking study hours. A streak counter for workouts. A page count for reading. A progress board for business goals. These tools may look basic, but psychologically they are powerful because they convert invisible effort into visible evidence. Really good. Really, really good. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everyone. You guys have a beautiful